Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Saima Dillon, and this show on Wednesdays is something new that we have started. And the purpose of this show is to, um, you know, to improve lives, to change lives, to boost people, to inspire people, to provide any kind of solutions and options that we can offer to women, to people, to improve the quality of our life. My co host with me, Kalpana.
So my complete name, I go with Kalpana Malela Opaluru. And I am co-hosting with Saima on radio show. And, um, and I'm excited also to just deliver this message and that we're going to talk today about, but we probably will have more from our guest, Jen.
Jen, how about you do an introduction and share about? But before you do that, Jen, friends, the reason I have Jen here personally is very selfish reasons, and those reasons are I have her here exclusively for myself. So Jen can help me work on my own energy healing, and in the process, I hope that we are able to help others. And Jen, why don't you share a little bit about yourself and tell us what energy healing is and why energy healing is so essential to each and every one of us, because our life journey, um, it's so contingent upon our own energy, the energy that we have within us. Jen?
Jen, can you hear us?
No, I don't.
I didn't get any of that. It's just chop, 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 chop. I don't know what's going on with the internet.
Oh, so
I'm
I
so
think
disappointed. I didn't catch anything that you said, Saima. I was trying, but
that's okay. Jen, do you
it's
want
just
to?
chop, chop, chop. Like I can't even get full words.
You know
So
what?
Jen, what she was asking was if you can introduce about a little bit about the energy healing, why it is different for everybody, and you can give some introduction. Can you hear me well?
Yeah. So asking me like who I am, what I do with the like what's the energy healing work that I do, and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just talk. I could do
we're gonna use a
that.
we're gonna use a
You
sign
guys are
language
great.
today. Yes.
Okay. You guys just text me the questions. Oh my God. This is hilarious. Yeah. So, my name is Jen Russman, and I am an energy healer. I specialize in emotional healing, specifically for women and children with trauma in their backgrounds. And I practice what I call the energetics of self healing. And that really includes the heartbeat of that is really helping people understand the direct link between stored trauma in the body as it relates to dis-ease in the body. And so it's cause and effect. And it comes from my own lived experiences and my own healing journey of healing all of the things from childhood sexual trauma to addiction to going from living sick, disabled, and homebound with MS for almost 7 years to completely healing that. I don't even identify with having MS anymore. And I now understand that healing the trauma stored in my body was key to releasing and healing from the autoimmune dis-ease in my body. So what is stored healing? You mean with regards to the stored trauma in the body? Um, when we experience traumas, whatever they may be, I mean, it could be grief, it could be abandonment, it could be betrayal, divorce. I mean, it could be physical abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence, whatever it might be. When there is a trauma that happens, it could be an injury, any kind of trauma gets trapped, it gets stored in our body in three different ways. The first way is it gets stored on a cellular level and through cellular memory in our cells in our body. And the interesting thing about that is the studies have shown that when cell, we have cell die off. So every 7 years we have a whole new set of cells. But what happens is with this trauma that's stored memory in the cells, it's transferred generationally. So when the parent cells die off, it transfers to the fresh baby cells. And so if it's not dealt with and cleared out of the body emotionally, then it's just going to continue to generationally be passed down on a cellular level. And that's why our bodies hold on to these memories on a cellular level. And then we also have emotional suppression, which is where my energy healing really comes into play. And when we have traumas and different things that happen in our lives, we experience emotions, right? And then when we don't process these emotions fully or completely, they become lodged and trapped and stored in these energy balls inside of our body. And so they get built up and backed up, and they can cause wreak a lot of havoc in our bodies and hinder our body's ability to naturally heal and recalibrate and rebalance and, do all the things that the body knows what to do. And then the third way is energetic attachments. And that's the other piece of my energy healing work, where I'm able to connect to your energy. I'm able to locate these emotions that are trapped in your body, what the emotion is, what age it became trapped in your body, where in the body it's trapped. And then I'm able to release it energetically. And the releases are instant and they're permanent and they don't return. And so what happens is when I went through this, I'm self-taught and certified. And when I cleared myself, I experienced what I call a full sacred rebirth, where at 50 years old, I had, and I know so many women, and I share this because I know so many women can relate to this, where we show up for ourselves. We're doing the work. We're counseling, group counseling, 12-step, tapping, yoga, meditation, like all the things, right? And yet here I was, this is me after decades of showing up to do the inner work. Here I was 50 years old saying, why am I still walking around with this deep weighted ball of sadness in the core of my being? And then, of course, naturally, the question that we all too often ask ourselves, what's wrong with me? And so I posed that question, and the universe answered and put energy workers on my path. And I started to work with some energy healers. And that's when I discovered that the universe's answer was, there's nothing wrong with you. And that's my answer to anyone out there. There's nothing wrong with you. You may just be simply energetically attached to the old traumas, to the past. And so that's what happened. I released and cleared myself, and then I was untethered. And that's the full sacred rebirth. And so when you experience this new freedom from doing this energy work, you're lighter, anxiety lifts, depression lifts, the monkey mind calms down, fears subside. So many, like you have a heart opening, you're more open to receive love and give love, trusting more, chest expansion, you can breathe deeper, you can breathe again. So many of us don't realize we're not even fully breathing, and breath is life, right, you guys? It's life. So it's amazing what I see happen time and time and time again with women that I work with.
So, why is this? Why is this so important? How did this change your life, Jen?
So, Jen, well, she's asking that how this energy healing has transformed you with the situation that you faced in your life. How did it transform you? Jen,
How
can you
did
hear
it
me?
do what? I'm sorry.
So this,
Yeah,
you're
go
saying that
quick.
energy. So
Oh, how has it changed my life?
yes, how it transpired you, just how you transform your life with this healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there again, I was there, like I still was weighed down with this deep core sadness in the depth of my being that I just couldn't shake. It was like I couldn't shake it, right? And and I, along with so many, are walking around in what I call the trauma trigger loop, where trigger trauma loop, either way, where we're triggered. Something triggers us. And we have, and this is the important message that I always talk about is coping is not healing. And this is why I want to change the narrative, because the narrative out there is telling us that we're stuck with it. It's woven into the fabric of who we are. We have to learn, basically, you have to settle and you have to learn how to cope with it for the rest of your life. And that's not true. We can heal. We can heal from trauma. We can heal PTSD. We can heal the anxiety. We can heal from living in this cycle. It's cyclical with the being triggered constantly. You know, a trigger pops up. I pick up my bag of coping skills, right? And I'd rummage through it and I'd pick my little tool out and I'd chisel my way through the trigger. And then when everything calmed down and I'm better, I put it away and I pick up my bag and keep going until the next trigger comes along, right? And so many of us are living like that. And so there's a freedom that comes when we release these energetic attachments, and like the trigger loop does not exist for me anymore. And it does not exist for most of my clients anymore either. So that's one major way that life changes when we clear ourselves energetically.
So, Jen, tell me that, you know what,
How
it's
do we
very
heal? Okay.
interesting to, it's so interesting to know all this. But one thing I was thinking that while you were mentioning all that, back in those days when we see our parents and grandparents, they probably still had the depression and they went through all these things, all this trauma probably in life. But we never talked about all these things as we do today, right? So why it's so difficult for the current generation to deal with all this and to discover the energy something is within you, but you just still in depression or PTSD or trauma, you still go through all this and think that that's not doable. Why it's so difficult for today's generation people?
You mean, so for today's versus like several generations back, like with our grandparents, great
Uh, the,
grandparents?
no, the current generation
Is
is
that what you
like
mean?
the people like our kids or maybe the let's say us. So we just keep thinking about it. All this that we're going through so much trauma, and things are happening with people like us. But so does it mean that it didn't happen back then in our parents' day or the grandparents' day, or is it happening more in the current generation? And is it so difficult for them to heal?
Um, right. So you're breaking up, but I'm getting the gist of what you're asking, and what's coming through for me um, to respond is, you know, when we look at the older generations, you didn't talk about this stuff. Nobody talked about it. You
Right.
just dealt with it. Like it just was there, and you just did what you had to do, right? And so as the generations have gone on, and things have come out more and more, this stuff always existed. Abuse was always there. All of these things that so many of us fall victim to or experience, it's all there. It's just now things are so much more out in the open, and it's more acceptable than it ever was to talk about things. And so I think that combined with we've really moved in a direction of slapping like labels and diagnoses. And so we're living in the identity of a label or a diagnosis. And the doctors are just treating labels and diagnosis with medications and prescriptions. And here, take this pill, or do this, or take that, or go seek counseling, and learn to live with it. Like, here's some tools. So I think to answer your question, that's the best that I can answer it, is one, there was a lot of secrecy and privacy, and even my parents, like my mother was like, you don't talk about it. Like, we don't talk about even money. Like, we don't talk about that, And so even something like money, like, it's so much of this stuff is so much more openly talked about in these generations, in current day. So I think that's a huge piece. And then I also think that the direction that our culture, society has taken, in the sense of living and identifying with all these labels and diagnoses that we're all being given, that plays a huge part of it as well. Because I'm out here saying, you're not a label, you're not a diagnosis, and we can live and heal beyond any label and any diagnosis.
How do you do energy healing?
How do I do?
Energy
How do you
healing.
do it?
Mhm.
um,
What's
Energy
involved?
healing, everything is energy. Like, huh?
No, go ahead.
You might want to type your question, Saima, because I'm not. Yeah. How do you? I have the question. How do you do energy? And I see how do we heal PTSD trauma. So energy. Everything's energy. You guys, like everything from every cell in your body. Your DNA is energy. Every thought you have is an energy. Every emotion you feel is an energy. Every intention you set is an energy. Every word you speak. Talk about word power. Like it's all energy. Everything holds its own frequency, and every frequency has its own match. So, when it comes to energy healing, there are so many different modalities and different ways of transmuting energy, if you will. And so, for me, I am called in here in this lifetime as an emotional healer. And so, I am called to, and what I do is through intention, I connect to your energy, and I am able to hold a conversation with your body, your subconscious, if you will. And I use muscle testing, which is a science-backed studied modality, if you will. And I use that to get the answers that I need, because your body holds all the answers, right? And so when I'm connected to your subconscious, I can have a conversation and ask questions and muscle test to get the yes and the no. And then those answers are what help me to locate these trapped emotions and discern what age they became trapped and then where in the body they are located. And then I'm able to release them. And it's all done through intention. And energy has no boundaries. So I can do this with anyone all over the world. You don't have to be hands-on or face-to-face, which is really, really nice. I like that about the work that I do, because especially with trauma, I know touch can be an issue for some people. And as well as having to relive the experience through the details or the storyline, right? And none of that is involved in the work I do. It's not about that. It's about the body being ready to release what it no longer wishes to, the weight it no longer wishes to carry around anymore, so it can be free.
So why is
That's
this
really great.
Did that
important
answer your
for
question?
why is it important for each and every one of us to work on healing our energy? Kalpana, can you
Why is it
repeat?
important for each of us to
Heal the energy. Why it's important for everybody, each of us, to release
do
that
energy work?
energy.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a great question, and it's interesting because I just had my TV show today online, and my guest was on, and we were just talking about what I'm about to share, and we were talking about how most of us, like, we think we're this body, right, and we're not. Like, we're actually an energy body that happens to have a physical body, because we're all energy. Love is energy, light is energy, gratitude is energy. Like, all of these things are energy, and we are energy. And so we are an energy body, and then we happen to have this physical body. So this is where the energetics of self-healing has come into my world. This is what I do. This is what I'm all about. Because if you want to self-heal, you cannot discount or ignore the energy piece, because the energy is oftentimes the missing link to somebody healing whole and living free, whether it's from trauma or some form of chronic illness or dis-ease in their body. Because when our bodies are holding on energetically, like, and they're blocked energetically, the body innately knows how to heal. It innately knows how to be healthy and well. And when you get all this accumulation of garbage that's just trapped energetically in our bodies, it blocks the body. It blocks that prana, that natural flow of energy in our body, and it becomes blocked. And then our body is no longer able to, as effectively or efficiently, do what it knows what to innately do, which is to heal and repair and recalibrate and restore and all those beautiful things that the body knows what to do.
So you're saying, Jen, that when something happens, the thoughts change into the form of an energy. Is that what I'm hearing? So anything that
No,
happens,
everything is
we just tend to
energy.
think. So
Everything is
thoughts,
energy. But when
everything is
trauma
Yeah, I mean,
happens,
energy.
when
all
negative
your
things
thoughts are
happen,
energy.
All our thoughts are energy. Yes. So probably that could be the reason when we see a healthy person, the aura around the healthy person is obviously positive. And if you see between among the sick people, their energy is
Mhm.
always negative. It's because I think the thoughts are revolving around it,
Yeah.
whatever they think, and it takes the form of an energy. So when
Mhm.
you say that you do the energy healing, does the two parties have to be in agreement with? Because you said you do remotely also, right? The person doesn't have to be in front of you.
Do they have
You do
to? No,
so when you
it's
release.
distance. I all my work, it's all remote. I work from home over the phone, and extraordinary results. You don't have to be face to face. I don't have to be in contact. There's no hands on um, with this work that I do.
So the person has to be
Yeah, and I
confident, sharing things with you that what's going on with them, and then based on that you do your healing process, right? Or no?
yeah, like they don't have to tell me anything. And that's the
Oh,
beauty of it. That's what I love because I
oh.
specialize in trauma, and trauma is so deep and intimate for each and different for each person that they don't have to share any details. I don't have to know anything about their history or their story. I just connect with them, and life force energy, prana, whatever you choose to call it, uses me as a channel to locate and relieve and release the body of these energetic attachments to the trauma.
Is it something called pranic
And I was
healing?
thinking about
Is it also called pranic healing?
uh
Is that what?
well, I mean, prana is life, right? I mean, it's whatever you want to call it. It's life force energy, it's source of all that is, it's God, it's whatever anybody chooses to call it, chi, prana, like it's in my book it's kind of all the same, but there are different modalities, but there's also generational releasing, there's inherited emotions that get passed down generationally. And I just had a woman who I released some inherited stuff from her grandmother, and she's lived with sciatica in her right hip for 20 years. And instantly relief when I released that inherited stuff from her grandmother out of her hip. And it's been a few weeks now, it's gone. Like she doesn't have any sciatic anymore. Her eyesight improved after we worked together. I mean, my mother, I just worked on her, and she's had neuropathy and pain in her toes and feet and pain shooting up her legs. And I did 2 sessions on her, and it's been going on for a couple years. And we finally were really talking about it. I said, Mom, why don't I check you? So I did. I connected. We had 2 sessions, and it's gone. And it was all related to the grief of losing my dad 3 years ago. So all those grief, those emotions around the grief were just loading up in her body, and they came out in the form and manifested as neuropathy and pain and tingling in her feet and legs. And now it's gone after 2 sessions. So those are just a couple of brief examples of what can happen when you tap into the power of that is energy. Energy is very
It's,
powerful, and it's all vibration.
it's interesting when you mentioned, so it just recollected me that few years ago I was having a pain on my neck for weeks, and I was like getting lazy to book an appointment with the doctor. And I mentioned to my sister, and what she did was she mentioned to her friend who does a pranic healing, and then she didn't tell me
Mhm.
that she mentioned to her. And the next day morning I wake up, and it was gone, and I did not know why. I was like, wow, something happened. Probably I slept on the wrong side and I slept on the right side today. And then she called me. She said, is your pain gone? I said, yeah. Like, why did you ask? She said, I mentioned to my friend and she does pranic healing, and she kept you in her energy vibration or something. And I didn't believe. I said, I
Mhm.
don't know what she's talking about. But now that you mentioned, and then and I was like so inspired, and I just called her and said thank you that you just did it. And then she knew nothing
Mhm.
about what's going on with me. My sister mentioned, and then she did, and then it was gone. And I was like, wow, that's really
That's
That's
just so
wonderful.
awesome.
powerful.
See, that's powerful. You didn't even know. You didn't even know. She wasn't there
Yeah,
with
I didn't
you.
even know
You
about
went to
it.
bed, you went to sleep, and you woke up, it was gone. Like, yeah,
And now that you mentioned, so I
I love it.
recollected that's what happened. That's really great. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I love like every day I wake up like I get to do this every day.
and change
I
lives.
get to help people heal.
I
Yeah.
think it's something
And
like I can give an
it's
analogy,
healing.
like
It's
the sun, the wherever the sun rays are falling on the garden, you see the garden or the tree flourish much, but where the sun rays are very minimal,
mm,
you don't see much flourish. So I think it's that the energy it's getting it to just get vibrate yourself and flourish more. I think it's just the same thing with the
yeah.
humans as well. I think, right?
I love that. That's a beautiful analogy. Yeah,
Wonderful.
absolutely. And that analogy speaks to vibration, right? I mean, like you were talking about thoughts. And so like the years that I was so sick and disabled and homebound most of the time, what was I telling myself? Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so sick. I don't feel good. Those are my oh, like it was like I was hypnotizing myself. And that's what we do. We hypnotize ourselves with our words and with the stories that we tell ourselves. So we walk around in this self
And that
hypnosis.
resonates.
But guess what? You've self hypnotized yourself. You can unhypnotize yourself by making a power of decision, saying, you know what? This isn't going to be my truth anymore. I'm done with this. I'm done with whatever, like this mess over. I'm done. I'm not going to, this isn't my truth anymore. And you get to decide. And I always say, we're always only one decision away from a brand new reality. And it all starts with making the decision to heal and
Wow,
change.
that's really great. So I think to learn something, we must unlearn. I think that's more important. Otherwise, we can change that vibrations, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about energy. Like you can't kill it. It doesn't die. It transmutes like life. Somebody passes on, they're not really gone. I mean, I don't believe they're gone. They're here, they're around us. They're in different energy form, you know? So
Beautiful. Yeah.
absolutely.
So, what exactly are vibrations?
Vibrations, it's frequency, and it's, every like I said, like everything, like every word we speak holds its own vibration. So every emotion we feel holds its own vibration. So there are low vibrations and there are high vibrations. Some of the highest vibrations, well, the highest is love and gratitude. Those are the highest vibrations. So if we can choose each day over and over again to embody love and gratitude, that's going to raise our vibration. And the higher that we can vibrate, then we're going to attract higher vibration things and people and experiences into our vortex, into our reality and our experience. Some of the lowest ones, anger, shame, guilt, like those are like the bottom feeders, right? And so how many people are walking around like they don't even realize it? It's just normal for them to be in guilt or shame or anger, sadness, or jealousy, like all those low vibe. Even like if you say the word, like if you just practice saying like the word love and the word jealousy, like there's like the vibration is so different. And if you really take the time to tap into what you're saying, you'll start to notice. It can be very subtle, but you'll start to notice, ooh, like you'll notice how like the difference in how they feel. I'm really all about like the emotional healing, because that's just been my own journey, and I'm big on the emotions and the words and how they feel, and the vibrations that they each come with, and how we can that's how we change. It's how we grow. It's how we heal. We have to change our vibrational tone inside of our bodies. And we were talking about this on my show today, and the woman I had on, Grace, you guys, Saima, you guys want to go watch the replay, your minds, be prepared for your brains to be on the ceiling, because mine were. She's actually testing her blood before and after energy healing sessions. And so I did a session with her. She was a recipient of my work. She took her blood before and after. The results are astounding at the cellular activation that happens at the blood level in the body. And the only thing that was different was her receiving the energy healing that I did, the releases.
Wow.
The immune function went way up. heavy metals left the bloodstream, massive detoxification happened, cell die-off changed. I mean, all of these things, she's calling it validating the unseen. And it's so magical to see and hear the results of the work that I've been doing all this time. Is like, wow, you know? So it's really incredible. Like, it's real. Like, this is real. You know, energy work, people think it's woo. A lot of people think it's woo woo or voodoo, but it's not. There's quantum physics behind it. There's science behind it. I mean, Einstein said himself, the future of medicine is the medicine of frequency. We all have the innate ability to self-heal. And
Great.
I
That's
focus
really
on the
fun.
energetics of self-healing, because I don't think that there's any better way to self-heal than to really come from the energetic piece of it. Because
So how
that's
long does
our
this
power
take?
lies in our decisions, and there's so much power in.
So how long this energy healing takes place
I can't
once you
hear.
begin? So once you begin with this healing process with any client, how what is the duration of that? Is it a one session or is it a several sessions? What do you how do you do it?
Yeah. Um, it really depends on the person, how many emotional, trapped emotions they have, how many of these energy blocks their body's holding on to.
How much to
I've
unpack?
worked with people that have 50. I've worked with people that I've worked with people that have 200. I had over 300 myself. Um, there's no right or wrong, no good or bad. There's no, it is what it is for each person. So I generally, my most popular offering is my freedom bundle, which is 3 sessions, because that's usually the average of what people need to be cleared. Some people need more, some people may need 2, but most people it's around 3. And they average about an hour long, sometimes a little shorter, sometimes a little longer. And I'm a little different than a lot of energy healers. I don't clock in at the hour. Like, I go as long as the body is willing to release. As soon as the body tells me it's done, then I stop. So I follow the body's lead. So your body is in control, because your body knows what it can handle for phase 2. When we're done with the session, now you go into phase 2, which is like the recalibration phase for your body. So to me, it's so important. So, it's not about, is it a half hour? Is it an hour and a half? Is it an hour? It's about what happens, the results that you get when you're done. And so, the average is about 3 sessions for people that work with me, but in some cases longer. Yeah. And the cool thing about this, and Grace on my show validated this, and what she was so impressed with the work that I do is she's interested in the permanent healing, like permanent, right? And so she has a modality she uses, it's permanent results. And mine was at the top of all the ones she's tested. She said it's permanent. And that's what I love about it. Like, not that I don't love my clients, but I don't want to be like a therapist and have somebody be dependent on me to have to keep coming back over and over and over again because they can't, be free. I'm here to help people set themselves free and empower themselves, right? And I think that's what warms my heart the most, is that I know that, what the time that they've had with me has really, really brought about permanent shifts for them, so that they can move forward, right? And I work with a lot of entrepreneurial women who are afraid of visibility, right? Putting themselves out there, or finding their voice, speaking up for themselves. All the throat chakra, like all of these things that so many of us as women deal with and struggle with. And the freedom that comes when we finally, our bodies are able to release these energetic blocks. And then all of a sudden the throat chakra opens and we're like, oh, and we can find our voice, and we're less fear to be visible, and all those types of things. So it's really incredible.
Jen, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
So what does bad energy do for human beings, for us? Why is it so important for us to release that?
Because stagnation in the body equals dis-ease, and we have to have movement and flow. And so when you think of energy energy is motion. It's always in motion. Okay. Energy doesn't stagnate, it's in motion. And when we look at the word emotion, you break it down to E, motion. An emotion that we feel is simply energy in motion. And so when we stuff, when we avoid, when we don't process, when we don't cry, when we don't talk it out, when we don't allow these emotions, which are energy in motion, to complete their cycle of motion through and out of our bodies, they become stuck and they build up and they become and then everything around it becomes stagnant. They
Like
affect the
toxins.
environment, becomes very stagnant. Yes, and the environment becomes backed up, stagnant, and that's when dis-ease sets in. So oftentimes pain in the body is directly caused or related to um, emotions that are just suppressed emotions in the body. And was the case with me, a colleague of mine, she literally she suffered with serious neuropathy throughout her entire body for some years, pain, like nerve pain throughout her body. And when 2020 hit, and the pandemic and then the quarantine and the shutdown, she lives in New York City. She chose to go in and do the inner work. And so she started on this journey of doing all of this emotional healing, right? And releasing. And it's like a little over a year later, and her neuropathy is like practically not even existent because she has healed emotionally. So the mind body connection is so real and so powerful. And that is why it's so important to not ignore the energy piece, because the energy, that's what we are. We're energy.
Wow. That is
So
just
Jen,
so wonderful. Sorry, go ahead, Kalpana.
so Jen, if anybody would like to take this training and fulfill in them and whatever is called the pranic healing or the energy healing, so what is this? Is it a session that you provide them, or they can go somewhere and seek that kind of practice elsewhere?
Jan, where can people reach you?
Oh, where can they reach me? Yeah, I have my one website that I'm phasing out. I have a new website. It's jenrussman.com, which is Russman, jenrussman.com. And you can send me a message through there. I'm also on LinkedIn as Jen Russman, but look for the Jen Russman that says Jenergy Vibes. You see the Jenergy, oh, it was on my screen. Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook, Jen Russman, red purplish hair.
And
And my website,
you're on Women of
jenrussman.com.
Noor, so people can reach out and connect with you on Facebook. You are on Women
Yes,
of Noor. So I don't know
I
if
am.
you know this, but the word Noor means light of God, and I think that's literally what you are. You are, shining your own light on people and helping people heal their energy. So, as always, I'm so honored to have you on my show. And thank you so much for being here and for touching lives of people who are watching, because I think each and every one of us, each human being in this world, we've all gone through our shares of heartbreaks and trauma and highs and lows of life. And I know that I have brought you here purposefully, intentionally, and I've been trying to get you here for weeks. And I guess today is the day when it was meant to be, but there was still some energy friction, but we still made it happen. And
We
through
did it. We did it.
lip reading.
Yeah,
um, but
that may be my next training. I might have to learn how to read lips
No, it
but
was really wonderful
in this
talking to
digital
you
age.
and knowing
Yeah.
the new things. No, it's really wonderful because there's so many new things that I learned. That's a lot of things are possible if you really believe in them. And then you said you do remotely. That's one great thing.
Yeah.
That's something new that I heard. Yeah, learned today.
So with that, we are going to end our show, and Jen, we are going to bring you back again, and hopefully with with the minimum communication, technical issues.
Yes, no question.
So thank you
Yes.
guys
But we
for
made
But
it.
we
The
made
thing
it
is,
happen, you guys, and
we still made it.
that's
Yes.
what I always say. I'll end with this: where there's a woman, there's a way. I always say that. Where there's a woman, there's a way. Forget the will. You need
absolutely.
a woman.
Absolutely. So thank you all for being here. Hope everyone
Thank
stays
you.
safe and take care. And with that, let's
You have a
see.
good day too, and we'll see you in some. Next session.
Thank you, guys.